Oh, hi everyone. You know that today I've been checking out what is going on with this new thing I'm going to make a review of. As I know that Nickelodeon has a new logo that has been revealed right now for this year, and I've noticed that because CBS has one interesting idea what I saw in the brand new Nickelodeon logo that was used for the KCAs this year. But I understood what I could find that new Splat logo. Now, for this new logo that is being revealed this year, I know it's been it's been 2 decades since the last time Nickelodeon was revamped was in 2009, and they now had a new logo to begin with. And now that I can understand what is that logo is going to be used for that brand new TMNT Mutant Mayhem movie that I'm going to see this year. As I know, this was long after we got from what I saw in 2007 because, it's been 2 months since I saw TMNT in 2007 with Tasmir Abu and Faluka. As I understood that, I am getting ready to review TMNT 2007. As I understood that this movie, its development started in 2000 with John Woo being summoned at the helm of the project being languished in development hell. Just because Woo moved on to do other projects, it turns out that the creators, Peter Laird, was forced to, along with Kevin Eastman, were forced to depart from the previous films' live-action style and was the first CG animated film in the series. Even though the writer, who would become director, Kevin Munro, said that he wanted to do total CGI rather than live-action because it would be easier for the audience to suspend disbelief to such a different off-speed story. And there'll be no break in the reality between CGI and live action. Although Tom Gray explained his decision apart from live action was due to budget cuts for all 3 films. Even though a CGI film became reality, the writing of that said movie was said to have been inspired by Hong Kong action films from its fight sequences, even though its depiction of New York City within Manhattan was said to have been inspired by certain black and white urban landscapes that shaped the Manhattan skyline between the 1940s to 1950s. What they really wanted to push the lighting and environments to feel like an alternate reality. Even though this movie got distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures in the United States and the Weinstein Company in the United Kingdom, and was created by Imagi Animation Studios, that for some reason, this was their very first animated film to be made by that on Kevin Munro's directorial debut. Even though it was produced by Thomas K. Gray, Gallup Walker, and Paul Wang, and the cinematography was done by Steve Lumley. It was edited by John Damian Ryan, and the music score of the soundtrack is done by Klaus Badaut. Even though this movie officially made its debut on March 17th, 2007 in Los Angeles, California at the Grauman's Chinese Theater, and was officially released worldwide outside of Los Angeles on Friday, March 23rd, 2007, with a total of 87 minutes for a running time, which was developed by its countries, United States and Hong Kong. Its language was English, and its budget was $34 million. Ultimately, it would grow up to $95.6 million. In this movie, the Turtles have been grown apart after they defeated the Shredder in what they are set to reunite and overcome their faults to save the world from evil ancient creatures. Since then, the Weinstein Company didn't handle the Japanese home video distribution rights to the film. Although Warner Bros. Did that, it did receive mixed reviews from critics, and it was a small commercial success. Since then, I understood that they added a cast of actors that we know of from the time and that year, like Chris Evans, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Meiko Iwamatsu, which would be his last role in that movie since he passed away in 2006, along with Greg Baldwin, Kevin Smith as you know himself, Patrick Stewart, Ziyi Zhang, Lawrence Fishburne, Nolan North, James Arnold Taylor, Mikey Kelly, Mitchell Whitfield, John DiMaggio, Kevin Michael Richardson, Paul Mattiloli, and Fred Tatascoya were all involved in this movie. That for some reason, we need to discover what the mystical secrets of its Spanish to Japanese aspects would come to be around this movie. Since then, this movie feels like some sort of an out-date sequel to TMNT 2 The Secret of the Ooze, which would ignore the events of TMNT 3 for some reason. So the plot of that 2007 movie is simple. It turns out that Leo, Raph, Mikey, and Donnie are all experiencing modern-day obscurity in the year 2006 New York City, in which the Turtles have no idea why they've become washed-up superheroes in what the city doesn't need them anymore, since they used to be. However, just because the Turtles are in a time skip right after the events of the second film, Splinter realizes they've missed their beloved relative Leo, who has gone off to South America to discover the true secret of the mysterious stone generals. However, for that, Leo understands that he was an archaeologist, just like, everyone's favorite archaeologist, Indiana Jones. But I understood just because the Dial of Destiny is coming out this year, I understood why they've done that to Leo as well. I felt a way it was quite creative. Even though it's quite imaginative, it's going to be a world-changing idea to do so. So then, much to my charging, when Leo came back to New York City, he notices that his friends are still there, who are April and Casey, who are now grown-ups. And even though, for Mikey, he is now some sort of a kids show host named Cowabunga Caro. In what I can imagine that Cowabunga Caro is basically described as TMNT's answer to Krusty the Clown. But I understood I can imagine if Krusty had Cowabunga Caro as a sidekick of his. I've understood that could be a fun idea to have Mikey and Krusty interact with each other in fan fiction. It's quite funny, but I don't know why Krusty the Clown never got his own Simpsons spin-off. But I can imagine if he had his own spin-off, this would have happened differently of what I remembered in this episode of The Simpsons. I understood this episode was called The Simpsons Spin-Off Showcase. I've always remembered watching this show, that episode. That was really funny. But speaking of that, I've understood that for Donnie, he's now becoming some sort of a phoneaholic recluse in what he spent his time doing too much isolation, being obsessed with his phone for his own techaholic obsession with his alcoholic use of interacting to his friends on his beloved telephone, on the laptop that he spent his time doing it. Although he felt like it was quite imaginative of what happened in Katie Mitchell, I've understood that what happened in the Mitchells versus the Machines is that could apply to Katie Mitchell because she was quite of a phoneaholic teenage film student who wanted to be a campaigner of wanting to be some sort of a game changer of being a pure good hero. It's kind of funny, but anyways, I understood that for Raphael, he's now undergone some sort of a vigilante sort of transformation. Well, I can imagine the whole vigilante thing. What can I imagine what I could think of? What I think of his design as Night Watcher, it just reminds us of what happened in Death Race, about what I saw in the movie. I noticed at the end of Death Race 3, like the end of Death Race 2, just like Carl got turned into Frankenstein, the main villain who died in that movie, Niles York, he was responsible for transforming himself into that Darth Vader ripoff. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, that was funny. And just because Leo realized that Raph has gone too far into spying on Max Winters, who wants all 12 monsters to be collected so he can unleash the ritual that he's planning to use to pretty much destroy New York City. But in reality, Max Winters was actually 700 years old, who was actually a warrior who came to Mexico from England to fend off those crazy yokai tengu oni monsters that would seal his ghostly soul away to his death. But what happened? Just because they destroyed the machine, which kidnapped Raph for some reason, just because Raph realized that Leo was kidnapped, so Raph led his brothers and Splinter and April and Casey and Foot Clan leader Karai to rescue their beloved brother Raph and their beloved brother Leo. And after that, I understood what happened in the ending of that movie. The ending where Max Winters dies by getting himself erased from existence is what we got from the Lego Movie 2. I understood that his defeat in that movie, the one where Rex Dangervest gets erased from existence, it looks a bit similar to the one that I imagined about Max Winters' death. As I know what happened to Max Winters, his plan backfired because he had no idea why he died for some reason. I don't know why he died in this movie. For some reason why he died is that he wanted to sacrifice himself. For some reason, I didn't understand he was an anti-villain for some reason. I understood that he was forced to sacrifice himself and turn himself mortal again. That he could be an old man who would be very happy of himself for his great redemption. It felt like this movie had no antagonist involved. I know that Max Winters reminds me of Bob Parr from The Incredibles, but despite this, it was supposed to be getting planned sequels, but I understood what happened after this movie is that after Viacom acquired the TMNT brand, they had to make sure that it would go to Nickelodeon. But I understood what happened to the planned sequel that we were supposed to be getting. Even though the planned sequel never got made, it was scrapped because it could have revolved around Mikey going on his quest to defeat the Shredder and rescue his beloved brothers and Splinter back to their normal selves. With that out of the way, I'd say this is how we noticed about the mythologies of what we can imagine. But with that out of the way, it gets some sort of a 7.6 out of 10. In what I can imagine, that just because this movie tackled Mayan mythology, it also tackled about the value of how family can be together in family business. But with that out of the way, this could be me, Sarah Karimula, signing off. If you could hit the like button and subscribe to my account on YouTube, I would say goodbye to you all now. So, goodbye!